Hey guys, I'm Mac the Third's friend, Tyler, and I'm going to be bringing you a build for cats. Unfortunately, this deck will be rotating out in a couple of months, but I'm going to be trying to rework it along the way with some, hopefully, new tech that we get in the next set. But until then, this is what I have so far. We have probably one of the best starting board cards, which is Sacred Cat. A 1/1, not too scary, but being able to turn 2 start getting some lifelink going, that's always great. And with the embalm mechanic, it really gets you a head start on everything that's going on. It's really opens the opportunity for this deck to take a more aggro approach. So it's just a really good opening 1-drop. Our next 1-drop is Leonin Vanguard. Now this is a new card from M19. It's a cat soldier, and it is better. Sacred Cat is definitely a good first turn. If this is all you have, then it's not bad, so you can start dealing damage, but it only really helps you out once you have 3 or more creatures on the field, including itself. Because when you enter your combat phase, it nets you 1 life, and it also gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Next up, we're going to go into our 2-drops. So there's 8 1-drops, and there's also 8 2-drops. Our first one is Adorned Pouncer. And at first glance, Adorned Pouncer doesn't seem like that great of a card. Kind of like Leonin Vanguard, he's okay early game, but where he really shines is late game when you can get that Eternalize function off. Because after he's come out and then being killed and sent to grave, you can pay 2 white and 3 colorless and exile him from your grave, and he'll enter as a zombie cat, a 4/4 zombie cat with double strike. So essentially he is an 8/8, which is very scary, even late game, because by then most of your cats have a lot of pluses. They're doing a whole lot of really, really crazy things. So that is Adorned Pouncer. Ajani's Pridemate. This card synergizes really, really nicely with Leonin Vanguard. Because what will happen is, if you have 3 creatures on the field, and you have Ajani's Pridemate and Leonin Vanguard, you'll enter combat phase, and immediately on entering combat phase, you'll gain 1 life from Vanguard, which will put a +1/+1 counter on Pridemate, because he gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you gain life. Now, that is a very, very frightening ability in a cat's deck, because a majority of the time, late game, every single one of your cats will have lifelink because of a card we'll get to in a minute. But he's really good. He synergizes well in this deck. I was a little hesitant at first to put him in, just because I wasn't sure how it would work. But I really like, after testing him out, I really like how he works in the deck. So that's Pridemate. He's our last 2-drop creature. And we only run 1 3-drop creature, and that's Pride Sovereign. We run 3 of him. Pride Sovereign is a horrifying card to go up against if you do not run removal. He gains +1/+1 for each other cat you have on the field, and for 1 white you can exert him to put out 2 cat tokens, 2 1/1 white cat tokens with lifelink. Now, at first, that doesn't look too special, but if by the time you're exerting him, you'll probably have 2 or 3 other cats, then you can exert him at the end of your opponent's turn, put out 2 more cats, and then suddenly Pride Sovereign goes from a 2/2 or a 3/3 to a 5/5 or a 6/6. So that is Pride Sovereign. We only run one 4-drop creature, and that's Leonin War Leader. Not only is it a 4/4 for 4, but after you've gone a turn with him on the field, assuming he survives, once you start attacking with him is where things get really crazy, because as soon as he attacks, he creates 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink who are tapped and attacking. So he's not only dealing 4 from himself, but he's also dealing 2 from the 2 cats, which are also netting you more life. So this creates a lot of life gain. As you can see throughout this deck, this is primarily a life gain token deck, but with cute little cuddly cats. So that's really all he's there for, is for more token generation. Now it's our 5-drops, which we run 1 5-drop, and it's our last of our token generation, and that's Regal Caracal. It's a 5-drop 3/3, but what makes Regal Caracal really shine is its token generation. Much like Pride Sovereign and Leonin War Leader, when it enters the field, it creates 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. But Caracal also gives all other cats +1/+1, which, if facing against 10 plus cats wasn't scary enough, suddenly they're all a lot bigger. And on top of all of that, suddenly all of your cats also have lifelink. So by this point, by the time you get Regal Caracal out, Pride Sovereign will be well above a 10/10, and as soon as he swings, if they don't have a first striker, or even if they do, you're netting yourself 10 life each turn just from one creature. So that is Regal Caracal. And that's all of our creatures for the deck. Next, I am going to do the one artifact of this deck is Lifecrafter's Bestiary. When I first saw this card, I wasn't sold on it. I saw it in play, and I just don't think that the person playing it was having a good match at the time. But after testing it, I really, really like how it plays because it gives you a lot of advantage. So that's Lifecrafter's Bestiary. Alright, next we're going to do our instants. We run 1 instant and 2 copies of it. 2 copies of Blossoming Defense. This is your best defense main board against black. If you have like a Pride Sovereign or Regal Caracal out, cards that are very important to your win condition, your opponent will more than likely try and target it with lots of removal. So this is your response to that removal. If they try and either murder or fatal push any of your stuff, you can tap 1 green and make that 1 creature hex proof and give it +2/+2, which will help in a life gain deck because suddenly you're getting 2 more life for that creature. Moving onward, we run several enchantments. We run 4 copies of Radiant Destiny and 2 copies of Ixalan's Binding. Now, Radiant Destiny, when it enters the field, you'll call a creature type, and with this deck, obviously, it's cats, and all cats get +1/+1. And once you get 10 permanents on the field, whether that's lands, enchantments, or creatures, you get City's Blessing, which when City's Blessing is on the field, Radiant Destiny gives all cats or whatever creature type that you called for them vigilance. So when you have that +1/+1, oftentimes I'll end up with 2 or 3 Radiant Destinies and a Regal Caracal. So all of your cat tokens are 5/5 with lifelink and vigilance. Your opponent's going to start sweating at that point. And with Ixalan's Binding, this is just your removal for the deck. Ixalan's Binding is my preference over cards like Thopter, Arrest, or Cast Out. It's a 4-drop exile But what makes it better, in my opinion, than Thopter Arrest is whatever card you exile off of it can't be cast anymore. So if you're facing a Scarab God deck or Teferi or Karn and you Ixalan's binding that, then if they have another one in hand, they're sorry out of luck until they can get rid of it. So that's our 2 enchantments. All right. Lastly is the land power. We run 9 basics, and that is 1 forest, because there is some strong green cards in this deck, but it is primarily white. So there's only 1 forest. So nothing really special about these. It's just your basic lineup. Next, we run 4 copies of Sun Petal Grove, which is your dual land, the Scattered Groves, which is your tap land. It's a green-white. It enters tapped, but what makes it really cool is that late game you can just pay 2 and cycle it, discard it, and draw another one. So that's your dual lands for the deck. Next, we have our deserts. 2 Shafet Dunes and 1 Hashep Oasis. With this deck, do not be afraid to pay the 1 life to make their mana, because you will more than likely get that life back. So if you open a Shafet Dunes and a Sacred Cat, if you can play the hand, it is worth it. It is worth casting Sacred Cat with a Shafet Dunes, because you will more than likely get that 1 life back. And the last land in the lineup is Unclaimed Territory. Unclaimed Territory, when it enters the field, you'll call a creature type. In this deck, it'll be cats. It's a lot like Radiant Destiny. What makes it cool is it can either tap for 1 color, or it can add 1 color to cast a spell of the chosen creature type. So it can either cast for white or green, depending on which creature that you're trying to cast. This is my cats deck, at least until rotation. I do think there is some strong tribal synergy coming from M19 that we can keep going with cats even after rotation. But we will take a big hit losing Regal Caracal. I think that's the one I'm most upset about, but other than losing Regal Caracal, I think this deck will be able to keep going after rotation, especially with a Johnny. He's strong enough, I think, to make the deck really work. I do think they were trying to push for cats to keep going even after rotation with this core set. So I really hope that you enjoyed the deck profile that I just gave y'all, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching.